don't even have a word for burger and ask them to compare Whopper versus Big Mac in the world's purest taste test. The Whopper is America's favorite. But what will these people choose?
Well, it is one of the most controversial ad campaigns of the year. Burger King traveling all over the world, letting Whopper virgins taste their food for the very first time. Critics say they're exploiting poverty-stricken regions for marketing purposes. Here for a fair and balanced debate is Russ Klein, the Chief Marketing Officer for Burger King, and Frances Moore Lappe of the Small Planet Institute. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Russ, so let me start with you. Obviously, this is an attention getter. You went to 13 different countries. You had them sample the Whopper for the very first time ever. The point of this ad is what?
Well, the point of this ad is that we felt that with all of the many years of advertising and pop culture around fast food hamburgers, particularly in the United States, that it was maybe no longer the same to get a taste test by going to normal American cities. So we said, what if we go back to the purest form of a taste test where someone has never heard of a burger, doesn't know what a burger is, doesn't have a word for burger in their language, and have them choose between the Whopper and the Big Mac, and those are Whopper virgins.
So, Frances, I guess you have a problem with this, not necessarily because the people chose Whoppers over Big Macs ostensibly, but you have a problem with the fact that you go to poverty-stricken areas and have them eat a food that you don't necessarily think is that healthy for them?
Well, look, Burger King has chosen these people because they are so poor and isolated and aren't tainted, right, with having tasted anything, in order to increase the wealth of Burger King. So on the surface, that appears unethical to me. But the real problem here for me is this is a symptom. This ad is a symptom of a flawed business model that has turned the Whopper, to me, into the Hummer of the food industry.
In what way?
Because of its... Well, think about it. The waste involved. In this country, it takes 16 pounds of grain and soy to produce 1 pound of beef and 10,000 gallons of water. Climate change. Do you know that livestock contribute more to climate change than all of our transportation put together? And it's unhealthy. More than half the calories in a Whopper are coming from fat, which we know contributes to illness.
Well,
so
what about, let me ask Russ this, though, because maybe do you have to give them any credit for coming up with sort of a new campaign at all? I mean, it is creative, and Russ, I'm sure you're going to get a heck of a lot of attention for it, right?
Well, we always expect attention from our advertising, but
Yeah, but this is going right up to the line.
Well, we've been known to walk the line, and we're comfortable with that. But in this particular case, I'm glad that we said appears, because these countries, these remote villages and communities are hardly impoverished. They are not suffering from hunger. They have bountiful amounts of food, and in fact, they're meat-eating populations. So we went way out of our way working with local authorities, government officials, to be sure that we treated these communities with reverence and respect, and they happily participated, and in fact with a food culture exchange at the end of our filming, where our crews got a chance to eat their food.
Well, if you want to see the results of the study today, you can go to whoppervirgins.com. Frances, I'm going to give you the final word about why you think these ads should not be played.
Well, there's a smart business model here that thrives when we focus on a plant and planet-centered diet that takes advantage of the delicious grains and other plant foods that we have always survived on. So it is the grain-fed, meat-centered diet that is a bad business model, and I think that the food industry should look at what is happening in Washington today with the car industry
in the end,
and learn.
The viewer of the commercial will make the decision. Frances and Russ, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Coming up, that atheist display, have you heard about this? It's right on the steps of the state capitol in Washington state. It's led to some pretty heated protests. And wait till you hear what the anti-religion signs were allowed to be placed right next to. Plus, this little boy spent almost 24 hours lost in the woods. You know what saved his life? His 2 puppies, the warmth of their bodies. That incredible story.